Well, this is Dr. Rich Lee again, and beside me, this beautiful creature is an Icelandic horse. Her name is Hrimstjarna, which in Icelandic means silver star frost. And the reason she's in the video, she's genetically very unique. She has a genetic variation that's called the blue dun gene. And this is a very rare color where they have a dark tail, a black stripe down their back, and a mottled coloring, but she's not blue now. In fact, she changes color throughout the year. She'll go from this beautiful mottled gray to a brown color. And the reason for that is a rare gene where only half of each hair has pigment, and the other half of each hair is clear. And there have been papers written by this actually in the US medical literature regarding genetics of pigmentation that may actually be significant for reducing the risk of melanoma. Well, the reason we talk about genetics is I've been looking at genetics in humans for over 15 years to see where their DNA may correlate with their health and longevity. The raw data set I use for that is from a company called 23&Me, which has made the press quite a bit lately. Now, 23&Me is a bit in financial trouble, and they're actually looking for a purchaser, but what's more controversial right now is many people are clamoring to demand to have their data erased. They want 23&Me to erase all of it, and so it's no longer in any repository. It's not clear whether they would do that, and there's also a question of whether they're obligated to do that. I leave that up to the lawyers. But the one advice I can give anyone and everyone who has done testing from 23&Me, and I've looked at over 500 of these data sets in people I've met and known and seen what's in that data that could be used that they don't really provide, is before you demand to have that data deleted, make darn sure you have downloaded your own raw data file. That's your genetic information. That's partially what you paid for, aside from any interpretation. And you should be able to get that before anything happens, such as they're being purchased. But regardless, that data file is yours. And as long as the company's in business, or as long as it's there, you have a rights to it. And you should actually go online, work your way through the login procedure, request to download your data file, and then hang on to that. Now, there are third-party companies out there that will offer to give you interpretations of that data, providing you've downloaded it and then you give it to them. Now, they probably have less safeguards in terms of what they're going to do with that data now or in the future. Each one has their own privacy constraints that you sign on to, and that's individuals as any of these companies are. What I'm trying to get at is your DNA information is your own. You need to own it. You need to acquire it. You need to hang on to it. Now, I've been involved with DNA testing with two prior companies where the companies were acquired and the DNA files were lost. They were erased. Nobody knows where they were, and they weren't sold to anyone else, including Big Pharma. But my advice again is get your raw data file. Just as you would withdraw all your money from a bank before you cancel your accounts, the same thing is true with your DNA. Get the data file out of there, hang on to it, and maybe in the future, when we get our program up and running, we'll be able to tell you the simplest things you can do based on that DNA that would help your health and longevity. In the meantime, don't worry. If you're worried about someone coming knocking on your door because you're a genetic reject, not likely in the near future. I don't think the movie Gattaca is going to come to life in my lifetime. By the way, in the United States, you're protected under what's called the GINA, or Genetic Information Neutrality Act, which prevents anyone from discriminating on the basis of health insurance or employment based on your DNA, because what's known is your DNA does not guarantee the expression. And as I've said and said again, it's not your genes, it's what you do with them. But get that information, find out how to download it, hang on to that, and it's yours, and make sure you get it before anything changes as far as ownership of the company. In the meantime, have as much fun as you possibly can and get out and enjoy nature's beauty.